Bible prophecy is active and unfolding daily. Zechariah 12, Isaiah 17, Psalm 83, Ezekiel 38. Here is what the LameStream Media is not telling you.
Shalom, my friends. Welcome to this week's newscast. From CNN, President Trump says that the United States will withdraw from Syria, quote, like very soon. Let the other people take care of it now, close quote. From the New York Times, President Trump has instructed his military commanders to quickly bring the 2,000 troops home within a few months. At a meeting of the National Security Council on Tuesday last week, Trump's top military advisors told him they had drawn up plans to pull American troops out of Syria immediately, but they also presented a plan for the forces to stay longer to clean out residual pockets of ISIS fighters and train local forces to stabilize the liberated territory. Trump replied, quote, I can support that as long as the operation lasts months rather than years. Turning to my personal thoughts, well, you do not want to miss Pastor J.D. Farag's Mideast prophecy update from this past Sunday, my friends. This is an amazing video. It's an hour and 16 minutes long, but he really covers the presently active prophecies of Isaiah 17, Ezekiel 38 and 39, and Zechariah 12. I have to tell you, though, I've been wondering lately, like the past month, he's continually referring to Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Zechariah, but he hasn't been mentioning Psalm 83. And I'd like to ask him why, but I don't have that kind of rapport with him. Anyway, I'm telling you, this is the most important and the most informative video I have ever seen him do. Of course, I have a link for you to click beneath today's newscast, and I have to give a big thank you to Wahid, that is Pastor J.D., because he so very often saves me untold hours of work when he does his Mideast prophecy updates. That is, instead of me having to cover a good number of very important events that have happened in the Middle East, I can just give you a link to Pastor J.D.'s video, and, you know, he covers everything really well. So, thank you, Wahid. Now, this Thursday's live stream, my friends, is going to be stealth. That is, I'll be going live, I don't know, maybe around midnight Thursday night, all by myself. Caregiver will be sound asleep, I'm sure. And I'm going, you know, you all have been asking for a word study, and we all need to be on the same page. When you say word study, to me, that means doing a study on a word, one word. Like, let's say, you know, our English Bibles say faith, and I'll take that word and say, well, in the original Aramaic Hebrew, that word is aman, and we do a word study. So when you ask me to do a word study, that's what I think you're asking me. So please be more specific if you want a word study versus a book study. Book study is quite a different thing. But this Thursday, I'll be coming on live. It'll be late, around midnight Eastern time. And I'm going to do a word study. I'm not sure which word yet, but I'll conduct the word study. And during that time, I will not be able to watch the chat. So hold off on your questions until I'm done with the word study, and then I'll tell you, okay, that's that. Now, give me your questions, and we'll talk about the word study. So it's pretty cool that, we'll be doing a word study together live. That should be a whole lot of fun. So again, this Thursday night around midnight Eastern time, look for me. I'll be popping in, and we'll be doing some odiote and all that kind of stuff. Now, turning to wars and rumors of wars from the Jerusalem Post. Turkey's entrance into northern Syria gives it a contiguous area of control from Jarablus to northern Idlib. The Turks have made clear that they have no intention of handing these areas over to the Assad regime. Turkish aircraft have in recent days been in action over northern Iraq, bombing guerrillas in the Erbil province. The Turkish military is presently engaged 15 kilometers across the border into the Kurdish regional government area. Then from the Associated Press, despite being kicked out of the main towns they once occupied in Syria, ISIS is showing signs of a revival. Big surprise there, right? Not to me. Still maintaining cells present in all areas. ISIS has not been kicked out of any place, my friends. Last week, 400 ISIS fighters crossed the Euphrates River and attacked Bukamal, killing 11 pro-government fighters while losing 5 of their own. Then on Friday, April 6th, from Channels TV, Israeli forces killed 7 Israeli Arabs as thousands protested and clashes erupted along the Gaza border. Gaza's health ministry also reported that 408 Israeli Arabs had been taken to hospitals and medical centers for treatment. The dead included a 16-year-old. At least 6 journalists were shot and wounded. Israeli Arabs burned mounds of tires and threw stones at Israeli soldiers over the border fence, who responded with tear gas and live fire. There were also attempts to break through the barrier. An estimated 20,000 Israeli Arabs gathered in locations near the border and east of Gaza City, among other spots. Then on Saturday, April 7th, from Arutz Shiva, at least 150 people were killed in the city of Duma, east of Damascus, after the Assad Army's Air Force bombed the area. There's a suspicion that chemical weapons included the sarin nerve agent and were used in the bombing. Airplanes dropped barrels of chemical materials on the city and its residents. More than 1,000 civilians have been affected by inhalation of the chemical substance and are suffering from severe suffocation. On Syrian television, a thick cloud of smoke could be seen rising from Duma. A statement from Washington said that if Assad was found to have used chemical weapons, Russia would be held accountable, and the matter would be accompanied by a response from the international community. Then on Monday, April 9th, from the Wall Street Journal, missiles struck Syria's T4 air base near Palmyra in Syria, killing at least 14 military personnel, including 3 Syrian commanders and several Iranians. In February, Israel shot down an Iranian drone that had originated at that base. and accused the Syrian regime of allowing Iran to set up a base there to supply Hezbollah with weapons. Some missiles hit the maintenance section of the base, damaging a number of drones. Turning to our Intifada update, on Tuesday, April 3rd, from the Times of Israel, Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman told leaders of Israeli communities near Gaza that Israel will not be changing its policies toward Israeli Arabs rioting along the Gaza security fence. Quote, "We've set clear rules of the game and we do not intend to change them. Anyone who approaches the fence endangers his life, and I would recommend that Gaza residents put their efforts not into protesting against Israel, but into regime change within the Strip. It needs to be understood that the majority of the people killed were terrorists whom we know well. These were not innocent civilians who came as part of a civil protest." Close quote. Then on Thursday, April 5th, from I-24 News and the Jerusalem Post, an armed Israeli Arab was killed by an Israeli airstrike as he approached the Gaza border early last Thursday. The man was killed by a missile fired from an Israeli unmanned drone. Turning to our review of last week's news, President Trump says that the United States will withdraw from Syria within months. Turkey's entrance into northern Syria gives it a contiguous area of control with no intention of handing these areas over to the Assad regime. Despite being kicked out of the main towns they once occupied in Syria, ISIS is showing strong signs of a revival. Israeli forces killed 7 Israeli Arabs as thousands protested and clashes erupted along the Gaza border. At least 150 people were killed in the city of Douma, east of Damascus, and more than 1,000 civilians are suffering from severe suffocation. Missiles struck Syria's T4 airbase near Palmyra in Syria, killing at least 14 military personnel. And an armed Israeli Arab was killed by an Israeli airstrike as he approached the Gaza border. And that, my friends, is what the LameStream Media is not telling you. Abba willing, I'll see you here again next week. Until then, keep your wicks trimmed and keep your lamps ablaze. Shalom, my friends.
Crowded rooms, I need more space than I consume. Enough is time alone with you, underneath a naked moon, sharing confidential moods and making chatter. Mockingbird nocturnal sings notations of eternal things, entering the quantum breeze, flying not for want of wings. He lights his gaze on you and me, simply because we matter.